Hello? Okay. Okay. Hello. My name is Melanie Labrie. I am the IOP recovery mentor for Bridges to Change. Um, and I was asked to do this um, life skills on Facebook Live. And so basically, my topic is going to be about recovery because I have a lot of lived experience in that topic. And I pertain recovery to my life, like pretty much every minute of every day. Um, you know, I I have been in recovery for 2.5 years, and I have learned a lot about myself, about living as like a normal human being. I mean, if that's what you want to call it. It's more normal living to me than it was when I was in my addiction. And so you know, for me, I had to change like all people, places, things, and situations. I had to learn how to become a mother, daughter, sister, friend. I had to learn how to become accountable, responsible, and productive. I really have never had a job my whole adult life. I'm 45. And so um, all these new things that are happening in my life in the past 2.5 years, like I literally had to teach myself. I've also learned a lot of things through Women in Recovery. Um, you know, I so I basically live my life in recovery. Like I live my recovery, you know, um, through my life. Like everything that I do. Like so for me, I go to meetings, and the things that I learn my um, in my 12-step program are things that, like making amends, you know, taking an inventory, a daily inventory of the things that I'm doing in my life. Like, was this helpful? Was this hurtful? Like when I talk to people and when I deal with situations, like I always ask myself, is this going to be harmful to a person or is this going to be helpful? And I try to go by that because I don't want to hurt anybody, and like I'm still learning how to communicate with people. I didn't know how to communicate, um, without arguing or trying to get my point across and not hearing what the other person had to say. I, I was very mad, hurt, angry, sad child growing up in life. All I basically knew was not how to live normally, like doing drugs and like hanging with the wrong people. Um, you know, what I learned growing up is like my mother and my father were addicts, and I learned that from them. And you know, learned behaviors are really hard to unlearn when you've known them your whole life, and so I have to practice these things on a daily basis. Um, and you know, I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect, but what I do is I try my best to um, help people. And so I'm really grateful that I was able to get this job through Bridges to Change, which is an amazing organization to work for. They've been very patient with me. They have taught me, that it's okay to not know things and to ask for help. And so I ask for a lot of help these days. Um, I'm very teachable because I don't want to be that person that I was growing up. Um, she wasn't a nice person. And, I do love the fact that I get to share with my clients, like my lived experiences with them for them to know that they're not alone, and that somebody is right on their level. and that there is hope. There is a possibility for change. I'm living proof of it. You know, I go to meetings. I have women who are very supportive. Like I've never had healthy relationships, whether it be friends, family, romantic. Like I didn't know what healthy entailed. I know that healthy relationships all the way around entail like communication, trust, honesty, um, and like I said, communication was really hard for me. So, you know, I always had a hard time telling people how I felt because I either didn't want them to be mad at me. I always wanted to please everybody. And today, I try to be very thorough with that because um, I want to have healthy relationships in life. That's what you're going to have relationships, and I'd rather have healthy ones than ones that were, just very chaotic. I had that growing up. And so, like, basically for me, I really put all my effort into my recovery like I did when I was in my addiction. So like I just like changed my perspective and turned it around. And so I fight for my life every day, and I fight to be or strive to be a better person every day. You know, I so I started working here a little over 3 months ago, and like, I have gained a lot of self-worth, self-esteem, feeling like I am worthy and that I am capable of like so much more. This journey has been amazing. It hasn't been easy all the time. Like life isn't easy. It doesn't matter like where you come from or your race, your age, your sexual identity. It doesn't matter. Life can be really rough. Right now with this pandemic, it's been super rough. Um, I am 45 and I became a mother at 41, and I wasn't supposed to have any more children. And, I really didn't raise my other children. So for me, becoming a first time mom and then, trying to learn all these different skills, it's been challenging. It's been challenging through this pandemic to try to be a single parent in quarantine, you know, um, and my daughter is like super high strong, a lot of energy, and I have a lot of energy. Um, I just know how to put that energy into other things so I can keep my mind busy and like not think of like negative thoughts or negative behaviors that I used to do in the past. But trying to relay that to a 4-year-old who doesn't understand what's going on in the world and like why we can't go places and like why a lot of parents don't want their children to play with each other, just to protect ourselves and to keep our families safe. It's really hard to explain that and to make them understand that. And so I try my hardest to keep her busy and then work from home, which has been a huge challenge, and it takes a lot of patience and a lot of praying, you know. And like I said, I'm not a perfect parent or a perfect person. And I'm kind of grateful for that because I feel like I wouldn't continue to learn like all these amazing things that I'm learning now in my life that I missed out on, in my younger years. But the way I feel is like it's never too late to start over. In the beginning of my journey, when I started my journey in recovery, I was like, oh my God, like I'm so old. I'm never going to amount to anything. I'm never going to be able to do any of this. Like, that was like my negative thought process. And like, I have to work on that on a daily basis because I can still easily get caught up in that negative mindset. Um, because, I've done these things for so long. And so for me, like living life is just practicing like everything that I thought I knew, to unlearn all that and to learn everything over again. And I'm glad that I didn't allow my negative thinking to keep me down or to keep me in the struggle out in my addiction, because I am very capable. I feel like we're all capable in this world to do anything that we put our mind to. It's all on like choice, and like, you know, I can choose to be like super negative and like live miserably, or I can choose to change my perspective and look at everything in an optimistic way, instead of like what I don't have and like why we can't go outside and like why we can't do these things. Like, what am I learning though being in quarantine? And like, like I'm getting to spend more time with my daughter. I was always on the go, like going to meetings, going to help other people, and now I have to like sit still and like do some things that I really haven't allowed myself the chance to do. Um, so I'm trying to look at everything in a positive way. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. I'm not going to sit here and portray like everything is like sunshine and rainbows, because it's not. Life is life and it will show up. I've had a lot of close people in my life, allow the pandemic to take them to dark places. And, another thing I learned is I can't save anybody but myself. I can just be there to support them and help guide them, if they want the help, And so I'm really, um, I'm really fortunate to have had this opportunity to, you know, be where I'm at today. If you would have told me a couple years ago that I would be doing all these things that I have done in the past 2.5 years, I would have thought you were crazy and told you that I don't, you know, I don't believe that. But today I believe in everything that I do. Um, I believe that, if I just set my mind to a certain goal and go for it, and then I can do anything. And so, like, in the beginning of my recovery, I set out that I was going to help other people, and I was going to give back what was so freely given to me in recovery. And like, I get that opportunity today to do this. I signed up for this not knowing exactly what it entailed, and usually I have an easier time talking about things in my life, but like, I just, you know, I don't know. Living life on life's terms is what I do, and I have to take the good with the bad, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other and doing the next right thing. In life, you just have to do the next right thing. You know, um, I try to give back in every which way I can. Sometimes I sign up for stuff that's too big, but I still do it anyway. I still give it my all and my best, because all in life you can do is give it your best, you know. And I try not to let what other people think about me be none of my business. A lot of people aren't where I'm at today in my life, and I have to remember that, and I have to remember like where I was before this. I wasn't a happy person. I was miserable, and I treated people really crappy. And you know, I try now I try living, making daily amends into like the people that I don't know that I have harmed in the past. Like, I make amends by doing things, like doing service work or doing volunteer work, not expecting anything in return, you know. So I don't know. You know, life is way better than it ever has been. Um, don't give up on your dreams or your hopes, and remain teachable and open to whatever it is that you're going through. There's always going to be somebody that can help you, or that can give their advice, suggestions, whatever you want to call it, if you're open to it, open to receiving feedback. you know um, Recovery is a lifelong journey. I didn't become that way overnight. and I'm not gonna, like learn all these things in a couple years. Unfortunately, I was in my addiction for like 30 years. Um, because like I said, that's what I thought life was all about was, drugs and alcohol. It was a learned behavior for my mother and my father. And so, I don't blame them today. I don't blame anybody, because once I became an adult, I had the choice to, not to go that way or to go a different path. And like, you don't have to go out there and like live like that, because I've done enough research for a lot of people, um, that nothing has changed out there. And recovery is a wonderful thing if you're open to it. And like, it's amazing. I wouldn't change this life, even with the ups and downs, for nothing. The one thing that has been really hard for me, to learn though in life and in this recovery is feelings. I always used drugs and alcohol to cover up feelings because I didn't know how to feel. And so when I got sober, and got in recovery, I had to learn all, like, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling angry, sad, discontent, ashamed, guilt, like, and some of those feelings are super uncomfortable. But the longer that I've been in recovery, the easier it is to identify what those feelings are and like sit in them. Because the longer I do that, and the more I allow myself to feel those things, it gets easier. A lot of people don't like to deal with feelings, with or without drugs. Um, some of them can be very uncomfortable, and so I don't know. In my life, I just do everything that I didn't do when I was in my addiction. I fight for my life on a daily basis. And I try to remain grateful. I remain grateful for everything that I've got and how far I've come. And like, life could have been so much worse, and it could be much worse. There's a lot of people still out there, unfortunately, struggling, in the streets. They don't know where or how to get help. Um, and so like that's where I try to step in and like share the message and like, just like give my business card or give my telephone number, or maybe give somebody a meal, because a lot of people did that for me when I was struggling. And so I just try to remember where I came from and where I don't ever want to go back to, and have empathy for people that are in the same shoes that I was in before this process. And so, um, I've also heard a lot in my recovery from like my sponsor and from my sisters in recovery that, just trust the process. Um, I used to hate hearing that, but trusting the process, you know, is a real thing. And the more I allow to just like step out of the problem and like, um, and just try to let the solution happen, the process happen. Everything has always worked out the way it is supposed to. Maybe not how I wanted it to, but the way it was supposed to, like I believe there is divine intervention, and like um I just allow that divine intervention to do its work. Um and so yeah, um I really don't know if I helped anybody by what I had to say. I'm trying to just speak from my heart and like what's worked for me. Life is good. It's really good. And I'm really, really blessed. And I don't know what else to say, but I hope everyone is like, trying to make the best out of this situation. Um, you know, it's all in like what we make it. Yeah, we can't change the pandemic, but like we can change our behaviors and our thoughts behind it. And like, um, it's not always easy. Some days are easier than others when I'm at home with my 4-year old and I'm trying to work and, trying to help my clients and, other people. My phone is always busy, it's always ringing, always getting text messages, but when I was in my addiction, like it didn't matter. Like I was gung ho about doing whatever it was that I had to do to do what I was doing. And, so now, like, it was never a problem to go you know, get loaded. I didn't care if it was in another state, I would find a way to go do it. And so now I find a way to, you know, um, put forth the effort in anything that I do, because if I could do all those things, in my addiction, I can, and I just put like a quarter energy of that into recovery, then the sky is the limit. Anything is possible um, today in my life. And, I have goals. And every time I set a goal and I complete that one, I set another goal and I set another goal and I set another goal. I'm a fighter. I don't give up very easy. Um, so, yeah. So, anyways, I hope you all have a blessed night. I hope you are all, loving your families, cherishing this time, alone with them, and just making the best out of a bad situation. So I appreciate all your support, and that's all I have. Thank you.